Many of you know Chris. He does from 9 to noon every weekday, 9:07 to be exact. He's on there acting as a one-man media watchdog brigade. He really goes after him. And I just wanted to cite an example yesterday, listening to him. And he's often my prep work, you know, before I go into the office, I listen to Chris and I listen to him on my computer. And I urge you all to tell your friends all over the country, all over the world, to tune in and listen to him. Because, for instance, there was a great example yesterday, the New York Times story about the Clinton cash book. And he pointed out right off how the Times twists the story. Right in the first paragraph, they make it all about Rand Paul. Right. You know, the Republicans are criticizing it, and at the very end, you find out that Bill Clinton gave 13 speeches in the period when Hillary was Secretary of State, 11 that he received over $500,000 for. 11 of the 13 were during that period when she was Secretary of State. Anyway, Chris came from the belly of the beast, 17 years with CNN. He comes up with classic one-liners, humor, insightful knowledge, incredible, you know, what's at his fingertips. It's so impressive every day. And Chris, why don't you come up here and we want to give you... Here we have the Reed Irvine Accuracy in Media Award for Excellence in Journalism to honor your pursuit of truth and dedication to a free America. Chris?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks so very much. Hey, guys. Hey, 2 microphones. It's like I'll leave the Monica Lewinsky jokes alone. Now, at home, I have a couple of lucite blocks that they gave me when I was in my previous iteration, and I have an Edward R Murrow Award, which is a lucite block. I sometimes make reference to lucite blocks, and it's for coverage of September 11th, 2001, and it's a nice award, and it's and it's good. It was appreciated, I guess. But let me say that I'm much more proud of this one. I'm really much more proud of this. I'm going to, it's the Edward R Murrow is kind of in the back of a shelf. This will be displayed prominently and proudly because of Reed Irvine's legacy and the importance of what he started. And he really started the modern movement of holding their feet to the fire. He's the first one that sort of threw a flag on the play that woke everybody up and said, say, wait a minute. They're not giving us all of the information here. They're not giving a balanced report. We think that Walter Cronkite is giving us everything we need to hear, but he's not. And on the Vietnam War, which is where Reed Irvine started this mission, clearly we can see in the rearview mirror that they didn't report fairly. They didn't report in a balanced way. Walter Cronkite actually came over to the house a couple of times, pardon me, when I was a kid. And I thought, gee, it's Uncle Walter. What a great guy. Now, in retrospect, I'm not very impressed with the news media. I spent, as was mentioned, 17 years with CNN, and I feel like I did good, honest work every day, and a lot of people there did. But in the end, it's kind of an embarrassment. It's sad what's happened to the news media. It's tragic, and as the congressman was saying, it's very, very important to the future of America that we have a news media that simply tells the truth in a fair and balanced way, and they don't. From the New York Times piece where they open up by polarizing the debate around Rand Paul, of all things, when it's a book about the Clintons and cash, is just an everyday example of what goes on. Chris Matthews is interviewing the President of the United States today, and it's going to air tonight. I'm missing it, and I forgot to hit my DVR. But it's not a level playing field. It's not fair. It's not balanced, and they need to be called on it. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to do that every day. I enjoy doing it. I do it because it needs to be done, and because it's fun. And they make it so easy that honestly I could show up every day and do 3 hours just on the news media and what they've done in the preceding 24 hours. It's so unbalanced, it's so unfair, and it's never been worse than it is now with Barack Obama and now Hillary Clinton jumping into the fray. We're going to see a new layer, a new level. But the coverage of President Obama over the last 6 years has been deplorable. It's been third world. It's been Soviet-style reporting. It's so completely out of whack that I know very intelligent people who are serious, people who are very middle of the road politically, who believe that President Obama's presidency has been really great, who believe that what he's done with terrorism is working very well, that the economy is chugging along at a really great rate, that the unemployment rate is really 5.5%, who believe what they're being told by the media. And when I, depending on the circumstances, hear this from friends and people that I respect, I try to gingerly enlighten them, across the dinner table. But most of the time, honestly, I kind of leave it alone. I might send them an email. I might recommend that they read something that I think they should read. And honestly, I think here and there, more and more people are waking up to the reality of the news media. There was a fun poll, I guess it was Quinnipiac a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago now, that asked people which news organization they trust most. And it was 28%, 29% said Fox News was their most trusted news organization. 10% said CBS News, 10% said NBC News, and 8% said NBC News. And if you add all three of the networks up, they didn't match the number that Fox News got by itself. The little news organization that they still target and they hate so much, because they recognize that Fox News puts the lie to everything that they've been doing for decades. That Fox News exposes the lie that is NBC News, just to name one news organization. And the fact that Americans, in much larger numbers, go to Fox News for their news and information rather than NBC, ABC, and CBS, which used to have a lock on this, means that the wind is blowing in the right direction. Now, I don't want to get overly optimistic and leap to any conclusions here, but I do see people waking up to the fact that the news media cannot be trusted. The Washington Post and the New York Times and so on have fewer people believing what they're saying than at any time in modern history. And that's good, that's progress. And honestly, Reed Irvine kind of started that. Reed Irvine was the first man over the wall. And he sent up a flare, and he was by himself for a very long time. And the big dogs went after him, and they tried to chew him up. The Ted Koppels, and he's on Nightline, he's on all of the Crossfire and the various shows that he appeared on early on. And it was like he was the outlier. He's no longer the outlier. He started something. And now it's big. And people are paying attention. And this is an important award. I'm very, very pleased with this award, and I'm going to display it proudly. The Edward R Murrow Award gets pushed to the back. I can tell you that. And I'm told that you guys would like me to take some questions. Is that right? Open up to questions.
Yeah, we'll take a couple questions. Yeah.
Want to do that?
Yeah.
If anybody has anything to ask.
No speeches, couple questions.
Speeches, questions. Got one right there. Okay, yeah, sure, repeating any questions that you might have. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see a lot of hands flying up. Hey, there you go.
Of our current crop of great candidates, well, the GOP, great candidates for president.
Well, you said candidates, plural. Yeah, so it had to be. The Democrats only have one candidate. It's like Iraq under Saddam Hussein. They only have one candidate.
That's true.
It's like the Soviet Union. There's one candidate. Today's election day. Go vote.
Who do you think at least will provide the most entertainment for your...
Well, Hillary is definitely going to provide the most entertainment. On the Republican side, there are a lot of people that, that are entertaining, some deliberately, some not very deliberately. Donald Trump is always entertaining and fun, and if he jumps in, he'll be a lot of fun. And he is fun, and he's an entertaining guy. And he knows that he's fun and entertaining. So if he jumps in, he will knowingly be fun and entertaining. I think Rand Paul is a guy to watch because you never know what he's going to say next, and he's fun, and I think he speaks from the gut, he speaks from the heart, and he's still relatively new to all of this. So I think that he's a guy to watch. Now, I honestly, I'm probably not going to spend an awful lot of time beating up on the Republicans. Most of the people in there, I'm very happy to see in there. I want to hear from Dr. Ben Carson. I want to hear from Ted Cruz. I want to hear a lot more from Marco Rubio, and he's got a couple of things to answer to, but you know, he'll answer to those things. And Scott Walker, I think, is going to be a fascinating force. I think there are a lot of really interesting voices on the Republican side. And I'm glad to be on the side where we're talking about things and having a little bit of a scrum, having a little bit of a fight, whereas the Democrats are trying to pretend it's not a coronation when they've got one person and they pretend that she was a successful Secretary of State and a meaningful and significant senator, and that being First Lady qualifies you to become president. Well, she doesn't like people, which can be a problem if you're in politics. She doesn't like the people that work for her. She doesn't like the people around her. She doesn't like people that she meets, and therefore she doesn't meet a lot of people. I'm looking forward to more Hillary Clinton. I think she's an awful candidate. And I'm looking now. Who was it? Someone here tonight was it Timo? Said, look, don't be too hard on Hillary. We need her.
Well, how about Martin?
Oh, Martin O'Malley. Oh yeah, the shirtless candidate. Well, he's like the naked cowboy in Times Square, Martin O'Malley. He likes to go around without a shirt on and play his guitar. If he just does it in his underwear, he'll be a character in Times Square.
Thank you.
Morton.
Chris, I think that most of the
Wait, hang on just a second. Let's take Morton there for just a second. Morton.
I think that most of the people in this room would agree with me that you are an extraordinarily powerful promoter of conservative principles. My question is, what might we do to get you nationally syndicated?
Yeah.
Well, does anyone own a radio network? There are very few, a shrinking number of radio networks. I work for a giant radio network, the Cumulus Corporation, and they own, I think, about 550 radio stations. And I am currently on 20 some odd of those. You can't really pry out of them exactly how many, but they put me on a handful of other stations around the country. Added Kansas City recently, and I'm hoping to expand that into a vast intergalactic empire that will dominate all media one day. But it is I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do about that. Actually, I try. We get good ratings. That's been my path. My hope is that they will notice. Now, how we get them to notice, I'm not sure. We just got our last monthly ratings in, and in Washington, we're my show. I always say we're #1 with men, a 10.5 share with 2554, which is all they care about. Even better with that if you go a little older, and #3 overall in the city. When you include women with the men as well. So I had to work on the women thing, I guess. I'm not sure. If I knew the answer to that, Morton, I think I'd already be nationally syndicated. That's probably the correct answer. So I don't know, and I don't want to tell you to send letters and make phone calls or anything, because that would be utterly inappropriate, wouldn't it? Oh, you're done? That was your question? He stole your question?
I think it was a good question.